Back with another physical media movie recommendation list for you all. These are 10 Criterion titles you totally missed out on in the last Criterion sale that just flew under your radar, but maybe you should take note of these, get them in the shopping cart so you have them ready for the next Criterion sale. So let's get up with Charade. Yeah, Charade is an awesome title. It's like an Alfred Hitchcock movie, but Alfred Hitchcock did not direct this one. It's a suspense thriller mystery. You got Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, which are awesome classic acting talents. In particular, Audrey Hepburn is really, really good in this movie. I was super shocked, and I love the design of this cover. I mean, how cool does that look? The movie's just great overall. It keeps you guessing the whole time. And so, if you're into more of the classic movies, I highly recommend Charade. Definitely during that sale time. Gotta pick this one up. Very, very cool. All right, next up, we got one for Wes Anderson fans, Moonrise Kingdom. My first time watching this one, and I was shocked by how good it was. I really like this Anderson film. It might even be a top 3 for me at this point from his filmography. I just love coming of age stories. You got it taking place at a campground. Basically, what it's like Boy Scouts on different, adventures in the summertime by a coastal region. But then there's a love that sparks, and there's a romance to it, a young romance. But I just think it plays really well. You get to connect with all the characters. The acting talent's amazing here. So really, it's just a great Anderson film. If you like his style, I think this one's a very easy watch if you're into the genre. So highly recommend Moonrise Kingdom. Not many people talk about that one when they talk about Anderson's filmography. All right, next up, speaking of an Anderson filmography title that everyone talks about, that's going to be the Royal Tenenbaums. And this is a great cast here. You got Gene Hackman, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, Owen Wilson. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's great to see them in this movie together. The family dynamic back and forth with the banter and the dialogue, and them reliving all their past memories and see how that impacts their future selves. I just think that's a really interesting idea for a story that's awesome. Great comedic moments in this too. You'll definitely laugh out loud in some moments. So more of a dark comedy as it will be. But yeah, really like this movie, and it's often on top of people's Wes Anderson list. So if you haven't gotten into his filmography yet, this is one of the easier titles to definitely start with. So got to check out The Royal Tenenbaums. Once again, all the Criterion covers look great for Wes Anderson films. All right, next up, a much more classic movie. We got Arsenic and Old Lace, starring Cary Grant. Now, it is a black and white film, so you have to be into that style. But I did really like this movie. I liked how it was filmed. You get the fall leaves in this movie, even though you don't always see the bright fall colors because it's black and white. You still get a sense of the season and the atmosphere with this one. Also, it's just a great spooky time season movie. It kind of reminds you of the Addams Family in a way because it takes place with a family that, has some stuff going on, a little bit of creepy issues here and there. Some shenanigans they're getting into, but it's a dark comedy. There's funny moments, bizarre moments, but it's not too long of a film. I enjoy this one a lot. Once again, it's perfect for that October season. Got to check out Arsenic and Old Lace if you're into the classics. All right, next up, oh, another classic one. This is going to be Bringing Up Baby. You got Katharine Hepburn in this one and Cary Grant. Once again, Cary Grant is just showing up all over this list, but they're great in this one. You buy their chemistry. It's a romantic comedy that, even though it's a classic one, black and white, the humor still keeps up to today. I was shocked. I was still laughing out loud. It's very funny. It's great to see the animals with baby in there. That's really cool because everything's like realistic and real life and practical because it's a classic movie, which is awesome. But it's a very short runtime. Doesn't overstay its welcome. So if you're into kind of slapstick comedy, classic ones, you're gonna like Bringing Up Baby. I can highly recommend this one. All right, next up. Oh, a more modern one. We got The Game, which is a David Fincher directed film This is a suspense thriller, a little bit of psychological elements in there, some things that are going to trip you out. You're kind of wondering, wait, what is really happening during this story? You can kind of second guess yourself a few times throughout the movie. But what's great is by the end, it does tie all of it together, which is great. I love when a movie can like give you the complete story by the end of it. It's not just all ambiguous. So it all comes together. But yeah, it really keeps you on the edge of your seat. I mean, you're going to be standing on your toes, just like, what's going to happen next? How does this end? And that's why I really like the game. Very underrated David Fincher title, in my opinion. All right, next up, a classic comedy. I know there's a lot on this list, but it's a mad, 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 mad world. And in terms of classic movies, it's a pretty easy watch because it is super hilarious. During the time, it pretty much has every comedian. I mean, everybody shows up in this. Even the Three Stooges have a short little cameo part, which is awesome. But you know what this movie is? If you've seen the remake, Rat Race, the racing to get some treasure, right? Some hidden treasure. If you're into that kind of movie, this is just a lot of fun. They just kind of run into each other, have sorts of shenanigans. Everything's going wrong with all these characters. Such silly moments, so that slapstick kind of humor as well. And it is a longer movie. Do be prepared for that. I think it is about 3 hours, and that's not even mentioning the extended edition that Criterion has in here. But like I said, it's a funny movie, and it's gonna still keep you laughing to this day. And even though it's a classic movie, it's not black and white. It is in color. So I do think it's even a little bit more rewatchable for that reason. But yeah, it's a great title too. I mean, how many times can you put mad into a title? Well, there you go. All right. Next up, we got Punch Drunk Love. Yes, Adam Sandler here, but don't be fooled. This isn't a laugh out loud comedy, much more of a dark comedy, more psychological, very trippy moments, some fantastical moments in there. You're like, wait, what's really happening again? But I like Adam Sandler's performance here. I like to see him do something different rather than just the, comedy he's mostly known for. Once he gets a little bit more serious, I like to see that kind of role, so he does it perfectly in this movie. You do got kind of a romance going on there as well. And even though, it's a darker movie, there are still those comedic moments. There are some moments you're gonna laugh. So I like Punch Drunk Love. Very, very stylized movie. I think this is directed by the Paul Anderson, if I'm remembering correctly. So you kind of know what you're getting into with this one, but still recommend if you're into that genre. All right, next up, a movie I can highly recommend to almost everybody out there. Another Wes Anderson title. We got Rushmore. To me, this is the most easy watching Wes Anderson title out there. I mean, it's a coming of age story. You got a kid that's going to school that just participates in all these clubs and activities and sports. But he can't focus on his grades, right? So he ends up getting kicked out of school, and he gets into all sorts of shenanigans. But it's a very funny movie. A lot of laugh out loud moments. The cast is great here too. You get Bill Murray, who has a really big role in the movie and does a fantastic job. To see kind of his relationship and banter back and forth with the main character. So, yeah, overall, I like this movie. There's romance in there as well. The sets are really cool. You still get enough Wes Anderson stylization in the movie, but not so much where it's just going to overwhelm you. Like I said, it's a very easy movie to get into. If you've never seen any Wes Anderson title, this is definitely one where I would start. So, Rushmore can highly recommend. All right, next up, we got Pan's Labyrinth, directed by Guillermo del Toro. Now, this is a foreign language film. It is Spanish, but of course, you got subtitles, so just be aware of that. Now, in terms of the movie itself, it's a very fantastical story. The creatures are really awesome. The set production design is excellent here. Yeah, like some of these creature images, they kind of just, they stick with you after seeing the movie. They're so imaginative. But yeah, I really like the story overall. It is kind of a darker story in a way. But Guillermo del Toro is just a great director, and a lot of people recognize him for this Pan's Labyrinth work. And I recommend the one on Criterion because, from what I hear, what I understand with the community is that mostly people prefer this one in terms of the transfer. Because I think somebody working on the movie, it might have been Guillermo del Toro himself, at least oversaw. The Criterion transfer and improved it. Something of that nature. So this movie does look really good with even just the Blu-ray in comparison to the 4K out there. At least that's what I hear Haven't seen the 4K myself, but this one just looks so good. I don't even think you need it on 4K at this point. But yeah, just excellent movie if you're into that kind of fantasy style. Highly recommend Pan's Labyrinth. And look at the design. Design is very, very cool as well. So those were the top 10 titles from Criterion that you might have missed out on in the last sale. Some hidden gems there I think you should look into if you haven't seen them yet. I know a lot of people were catching up on all the 4Ks that were being released in the sale, but don't forget, Criterion has some amazing Blu-rays out there. So many titles. I just think those are some hidden gems. But let me know in the comments below, what were your favorites out of the titles I showed today? Which ones are you interested in maybe picking up next time? And also, what were other ones I didn't talk about? I only mentioned 10 of them. There's way more Criterion titles out there. Let's have some fun movie conversations down below. And if you love collecting physical media just like me, make sure you subscribe right now. That way I can keep you entertained and up to date on all the latest physical media topics.
It's time, homie.
And if you enjoy these physical media topics, check out another one right now. And thank you so much, my mega membership supporters.